What is up, my Ace Boon Coons? Today is March 3rd, 2025. Damn, March already? Jeez. Anyway, we're going to do a deep dive on the rich history of Bank of America. How many of y'all have Bank of America? How many of y'all know the history of Bank of America? Well, let's dig in. Now, I have been banking with Bank of America for about 20 years, maybe more. But here recently, I have become exhausted with Bank of America. Exhausted, why? Because Farmers Insurance was taking almost $600 out of my car insurance auto payment, which is monthly $600. I signed up for $130 worth of full coverage insurance. But anyway, I missed it. For 3 months, they took out $570 to be exact. Bank of America, I had to call them up, say, hey, this is, I called Farmers, first of all. They said it was, that's a whole nother story. We'll dig into Farmers later. But Bank of America, dude, said they were going to investigate this, and it's been over a month and have not done shit. As a matter of fact, they keep stonewalling and giving me the runaround. So, that's just one case that Bank of America has I've had personally with it. But I decided to do a little deep dive on Bank of America as to why they seem to be acting the way they act. I would call them, they'd hang up, they'd say they'd call back, never call back. It was very exhausting. Along with beyond customer service, it gets deep. So I did a little deep dive on Bank of America, and sure enough, the apple does not fall far, and history continues to repeat itself. Check it out. Who knew Bank of America was involved in the sale of toxic mortgage linked securities, including subprime home loans? The bank was accused of defrauding investors by not disclosing the true financial health of Merrill Lynch. About that. Bank of America was also accused of making risky mortgage loans and misrepresenting the quality of those loans to investors. Mortgage fraud. The financial crisis. Bank of America was a leader in originating subprime loans and home foreclosures. The bank was accused of having a poor record in providing relief to customers through the government's Home Affordable Modification Program. They're corrupt. Lazy as all hell. Not just lazy, but they don't do what they say they are going to do. That's just one example. Oh, it gets better. It gets deeper, y'all. Here are some personal examples I went through. Bank of America has been ordered to pay millions of dollars after regulators learned it had opened fake accounts, double charged customers, and withheld credit card rewards. The CFPB has alleged that Bank of America violated federal law by leaving the door open to scammers. 100%. 100%. It is not alleged. This shit is happening. This is the Bayer drugs of banking. Yes, I said it. Bayer drugs, I don't understand how they're still in business after infecting people with AIDS knowingly and not even a name change. Yes, one of their pills was tainted with AIDS. This is not a conspiracy. You can look it up. Bayer drugs, not even a name change. They're still in business. Bank of America, not even a name change. Bank of America settled claims with the U.S. Justice Department for almost $17 billion. Bank of America agreed to pay $2.4 billion to settle a class action suit. Bank of America agreed to pay $16 billion to settle a U.S. government lawsuit for financial fraud. All right, you want to know more about that? You will. When you get a chance, I'm going to scroll slowly. Make sure you read this hit piece by Rolling Stones. It was a very good piece. Well-deserved hit piece. I'm not into hit pieces, but Bank of America, fudge you. Big time, you motherfucking thieves. You greedy sons of bitches. I'm going to start here. Y'all make sure y'all pause the video, do whatever you got to do right here. Long history of scumbags. Wrong kind of big dick energy, if you know what I mean. But these lawsuits didn't sit well with Hugh McCall. To him, size was everything. Fuck that guy, dude. Big time thieves. Make sure you read it. Rolling Stones wrote a nice piece of Bank of America. Too crooked to fail, it's called. They're too big to fail. So they think. But listen. Power in numbers. Unify. We could take big bitches like this down together. You hear me? In the end, it all comes down to mortgages. They had a big play in 2008 during the mortgage crisis. The Holy Trinity of Bank of America, Countrywide, and Merrill Lynch. Yeah. Bank of America bought all these other big banks out. Dude, they are big time scum. Make sure you pause the video. Bro, a lot of your tax money has gone to Bank of America just to bail these fuckers out. And no one has been locked up, penalized, or... What's up? What's up? What's up with our system, dude? Fucking why are so many black and Hispanic people in jail and shit, and these motherfuckers are not? They don't do any sort of time for bigger fucking crimes than selling a piece of fucking drug or joint or fucking running a damn light or not having the proper paperwork. Gosh, God, have your ways with these thieves, with these greedy sons of crooks. God almighty. It's a big piece. It's a big piece. Anyway, I'm not going to scroll through the whole thing. We're going to get straight into the videos. The dark history of Bank of America. Boom. Boom. Quicker scrolling right there, just in case you're into that.
Then, in the midst of the global financial crisis in 2008, Bank of America acquired Countrywide Financial, which was the world's largest mortgage lender. In the same year, it also acquired Merrill Lynch, one of the world's largest financial services companies. In hindsight, these two last acquisitions didn't pan out well for Bank of America. Let's talk about it. Bank of America's acquisition of Countrywide Financial during the housing crisis of the mid-2000s turned out to be a decision with huge negative consequences. This acquisition made Bank of America the owner of one of the largest and most troubled mortgage lenders in the United States, which soon faced numerous penalties, lawsuits, and criticisms. You see, Countrywide Financial was highly involved in giving out subprime mortgage loans. This means that people who didn't qualify for a regular mortgage would get a subprime mortgage at higher rates. These mortgage loans had a higher risk of default, and as the housing market collapsed, so did the value of these mortgages. Bank of America inherited a massive portfolio of such high-risk mortgages through the Countrywide acquisition, and the deteriorating value of these loans weighed heavily on the bank. Bank of America also had to face numerous penalties and lawsuits related to mortgages issued by Countrywide. Many of these lawsuits alleged that Countrywide had engaged in predatory lending practices and that it had not disclosed the risks associated with the mortgages. Bank of America's acquisition of Merrill Lynch also came with its share of criticisms. The deal took place amidst the financial crisis, and some critics argued that Bank of America had overpaid for Merrill Lynch and failed to conduct sufficient due diligence. This criticism became even stronger when it was revealed that Merrill Lynch had incurred substantial losses, which were not disclosed before the acquisition. Furthermore, the way executive bonuses were handled at Merrill Lynch raised controversy. It was reported that Merrill Lynch had paid out bonuses worth $3.6 billion to its executives just before the acquisition. Firstly, this was done without informing the voting investors at Bank of America, and it was also seen as controversial given the company's financial troubles. But criticisms towards Bank of America weren't limited to just this. The bank faced criticism on multiple fronts, most notably for customer dissatisfaction and claims of discrimination based on race and ethnicity. Customers of Bank of America have continuously complained about unexpected fees, account management issues, and difficulties in resolving problems through customer service channels. One incident that stands out is when Bank of America introduced a monthly debit card fee in 2011. The bank faced severe backlash from the public, leading to reversal of the decision. In addition, technological glitches and service outages have also contributed to negative customer experiences. It doesn't come as a surprise that Bank of America has often been the lowest rated bank in American customer satisfaction indices.
Are they the biggest?
Coming to the allegations of discriminatory lending practices, particularly in relation to mortgage lending, the bank was found to be lending to Hispanic and African American borrowers at higher interest rates than rates provided to Caucasian borrowers with the same qualifications. Bank of America has had to pay substantial fines and settlements as a result of various legal actions related to both customer dissatisfaction and discrimination
Why would they do that?
In 2011, the bank agreed to pay $335 million to settle allegations that its countrywide unit had discriminated against minority borrowers by charging higher fees and interest rates. In 2014, the bank reached a $16.65 billion settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice over allegations of misleading investors in the sale of mortgage-backed securities.
So who got that money back? Did anybody get their money back? The Department of Justice sued them? They got the money, but it wasn't their money. It was the taxpayer money. I don't understand how the fuck this system works. Can somebody please break this down? Did anyone get some money back? I want my money back just for being discriminative against Hispanics and black people. Yeah. I mean,
This settlement was one of the largest in U.S. history. Bank of America has also faced fines related to its hiring practices involving discrimination against African Americans. There have been many such settlements and fines that Bank of America has had to pay, owing to its discriminatory practices towards both employees and borrowers.
Damn, employees
This should explain why Bank of America has faced so much public backlash and had such negative publicity since the 2000s. It's especially sad to witness this as A.P. Giannini founded the bank with a mission to provide services to the minorities in his community. Now, while Bank of America's sheer size solidifies its standing as a major player in the financial industry, these criticisms and legal challenges highlight the importance of ethical business practices and the need for financial institutions to prioritize customer satisfaction and fair lending practices. What's your opinion of Bank of America? If you're a customer of the bank, do you agree with the issues we've highlighted in this video? Comment below and tell us. We love...
What's your opinion? Mine would be they ain't shit. Where's my money? Who else wants their money back or out of Bank of America? Raise your hand. Bank of America, dude, sick. Bro, not only were they discriminating against their customers, they were discriminating against their own employees. Yo, like, what's been done about this, bro? Because I am still having problems with Bank of America, and this is 2025, y'all. Come on, man. Let's expose these motherflowers, bro. Power of numbers. Work together. Unite. Don't let politics divide you, dude. Do not let religion divide you. Don't let anything divide you. We need to stick together because corporations like this are the ones that fucking sponsor that woke agenda, the tribal warfare. They want you divided so you don't fucking have an eye and point a finger at them. The real culprits, the real problem in America, corporations like this. Bro, where's Occupy Wall Street? Bring them back. Whatever happened to Occupy Wall Street? Something happened. There was a distraction there. They were onto something, And then you didn't hear anything else about them. Bring back Occupy Wall Street. So a brief description of how Bank of America started. The original founder of Bank of America would be rolling in his grave right now at the atrocities that Bank of America is doing. He actually created Amadeo Pietro Giannini was the founder of Bank of America. It was first known as the Bank of Italy. I'm going to show you a brief little video of how Bank of America started in San Francisco. From Italy to San Francisco, and it evolved to the massive corporation that it is now. But this man, the original founder, created this bank because he noticed how corrupt the other banking systems were. And if he knew what the new owners of Bank of America have been doing, he would have a fit. So check it out. Perplexing and ironic how history just continues to repeat itself after good people with good intentions create something so great, die off, and then bought off, and then here comes evil with its evil claws. Bank of America, you are going to be exposed.
In 10 years, he transforms the family's farming venture into a successful grocery store in San Francisco, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But then, at the height of his success, Giannini does the unexpected. At 31, he retires from the grocery business, eager to find a new industry to conquer. The early 20th century brings industrial growth to the Bay Area, with shipyards, manufacturing plants, and other industries emerging. The influx of population and businesses into San Francisco and its suburbs led to rising property values. Giannini recognizes that real estate and banking are at the heart of this economic boom. To break into these industries, he needs capital and opportunity.
At the time, his wife came from a wealthy family, and when his father-in-law passed away, he left his entire inheritance to Giannini instead of his own sons, demonstrating the immense respect he had for Giannini.
The inheritance includes real estate holdings and stocks in a local bank. But Giannini quickly realizes that the bank is corrupt, much like the rest of the industry. To make a real difference, he needs to start his own bank.
AP, being himself the son of hardworking Italian farmers, founded his own bank, mainly because he was outraged by how other banks in North Beach neglected the Italian citizens of San Francisco's Italian colony, which included his own family. The majority of his customers were immigrants who could hardly speak English.
By giving out loans to the working class, the Bank of Italy becomes a huge hit. By 1905, less than 2 years after its launch, the bank amasses $1 million in capital. The future of the bank looks bright.
The 1906 earthquake completely changed how we saw the science of earthquakes. The earthquake woke everybody up early in the morning on April the 18th of 1906. The epicenter was on San Andreas Fault, just offshore from San Francisco, and then it ruptured to the north and to the south along the fault. Most of the city at that time was wood frame construction, but there were some steel frame buildings. And so the earthquake did a lot of damage across the city, but of course most of the damage was actually due to the fire that then followed the earthquake.
The San Francisco earthquake of 1906 is one of the most destructive in recent history, resulting in immense destruction and followed by uncontrolled fire that consumed much of the city. Before the fire reaches his bank vault, Giannini and his stepfather load the bank's funds, including cash, gold, and silver, onto wagons, disguised with crates of fruit and vegetables.
Brilliant.
They endure a grueling all-night journey to reach San Mateo, Giannini's home. Giannini's foresight and quick action prove ingenious. while other banks are rendered inoperable.
Now this is what I'm talking about, bro. This is the power of immigrants, of good immigrants. You know what I mean? Look at what this man does. He's got foresight, vision, brilliant, man. Wanted to do good for the community with his banking mentality or knowledge. This is incredible. I am very, very impressed, but very, very disappointed with what Bank of America is now. This is not what this man intended.
He establishes a temporary banking operation on Washington Street, using a makeshift desk to provide immediate financial support to those affected by the disaster.
Giannini and his bank made an extraordinary move. Most banks at the time were afraid to lend money, but Giannini offered unsecured loans to anyone based on only personal trust.
Giannini has turned a disaster into an opportunity. After the earthquake, the Bank of Italy becomes the most trustworthy bank in the region, and people begin to pour their deposits into the bank. During the panic of 1907, Giannini's strategic foresight and decisive actions once again safeguard the bank's stability and customer confidence. Despite initial resistance, he expands into Los Angeles, bringing inclusive and accessible banking to the rapidly growing city. Giannini's vision soon extends beyond California, creating a network of branches that provide reliable financial services to diverse communities in cities like Chicago. But to truly build a banking empire, he knows there is one city he needs to break into: New York. But there's a huge problem. New York is already dominated by another titan, J.P. Morgan Jr., and he is not about to let an outsider intrude on his territory.
Get him, Giannini.
After his success with the Bank of Italy, Giannini realizes that branch banking is the future. He envisions branches of his bank spread from coast to coast and ultimately globally. To do that, he needs to open a branch in the most prestigious city in the world, New York. Following a record year of profit, Giannini uses the additional income to acquire Bank of America at 44 Wall Street, a struggling mid-sized bank at the time.
He then merged the Bank of Italy with Bowery and East River National Bank and the Commercial Exchange Bank to form the Bank of America National Association, making it the third largest bank in New York.
But Giannini's rapid advancement into New York is seen as a declaration of war to the king of Wall Street at the time, Jack Morgan. In the 1920s, Jack Morgan is the most powerful banker on Wall Street. His father, the notoriously ruthless J. Pierpont Morgan, helped create the world's first billion-dollar company, U.S. Steel.
His father, Pierpont Morgan, was a legend, the founder of J.P. Morgan. Big personality, a big person, obviously knew everyone around the world.
After J.P. Morgan passed away, Junior inherits a fortune like no other.
Morgan has the money, power, and enemies. He once survived an assassination attempt by wrestling the government to the ground.
Seeing the rise of Giannini and his Bank of Italy, Jack Morgan realizes it's time to show who is in charge. After Giannini establishes his presence in New York, J.P. Morgan launches a smear campaign with a single objective: to crush Giannini's bank stocks.
At the time, Giannini contracted polyneuritis and had to seek treatment in Europe. And Jack Morgan used this opportunity to rally other bankers and traders to attack the stocks of Giannini's banks.
Within weeks.
All right, so you get the gist. That is the beginnings of Bank of America. They wanted to help the poor. They wanted to give loans and opportunities to the people who were struggling, poor people, other immigrants, because this man was an immigrant and he knew the struggle. That's the beauty of immigrants. You know what I mean? If you are you have some foresight, foreseeing, some vision, good intention to make the world a better place, come on in. That's what created America, you know? And that's what Giannini had. But he made some enemies. J.P. Morgan, probably the backstory behind that's a whole nother video. But as you can see, the new founders of Bank of America, which we're about to get into, are covered in greed, filled with the totally polar opposite intentions of the original creator of Bank of America, Mr. Giannini. God bless you and your family. I wonder what their family's doing now. Anyway, I won't hold you. Let's find out the dark history of Bank of America. That right there was some rich history.
Sometimes in life and business, you can do everything right, and things will still go wrong. The key is to never stop doing what's right.
Despite his resignation.
Message.
Just to recap here, without Bank of America, we may not have the Golden Gate Bridge, Disney, or even credit cards in the way that we have them today. Jumping ahead to the 1990s is when they really started growing out of control through a series of mergers and acquisitions. In 1998, they merged with Nations Bank in an almost $50 billion deal that technically meant Nations Bank was acquiring Bank of America. They just chose to use the name Bank of America for the combined company. It created the first ever bank that reached from one U.S. coast to the other, and it sparked a lot of major changes. Their headquarters moved from San Francisco to Charlotte, and that's when they adopted that famous flag logo that they've been using ever since. In 2003, they bought Fleet Boston Financial Corporation in another deal valued at almost $50 billion. That was a major bank centered around New England that had 1,500 branches. In 2005, they bought the credit card issuer MBNA Corporation for about $35 billion. Bank of America was already the third largest credit card company, and that acquisition pushed them into first place. In 2007, they bought LaSalle Bank for over $20 billion, giving them a major presence in the Chicago market. Then, in 2008, they bought the world's largest mortgage lender, Countrywide Financial, for about $4 billion, and the following year, they bought investment bank Merrill Lynch in a deal initially valued, again, around $50 billion. Those last two acquisitions lead me to my next reason behind the hatred, which I'm just going to call the recession. See, Countrywide Financial was deeply involved in originating subprime mortgages. If someone didn't qualify for a regular mortgage, they would instead get a subprime mortgage at a higher rate. All of this is at the center of the housing crisis. Basically, they were giving out all of these mortgages that people could not afford. And by 2007, 2008, when the housing bubble burst and everyone was defaulting on these mortgages, it was bad for Countrywide and the economy in general. I do have a video about Lehman Brothers that talks more about this crisis, but buying this company was not good for Bank of America as far as their reputation or financially, because it put them at the center of so many penalties and lawsuits. Just some of the bigger ones. In 2011, they paid an $8.5 billion settlement to investors who bought securities backed by their mortgages that they claim were misrepresented to be more stable and more valuable than they actually were. Then in 2013, there was a $10 billion settlement with Fannie Mae because Countrywide sold them a bunch of these faulty mortgages. In 2014, there was a $16.65 billion settlement with the Justice Department related to all of this that was actually the largest civil settlement with any single firm in American history. And by the way, I should mention, 2008's winner for the worst company in America was Countrywide Financial. And as far as the investment bank Merrill Lynch, that one brought criticism as well, from the public and from their own stockholders. Those stockholders voted to approve the acquisition, but then they claimed that they were misled as far as the losses that Merrill Lynch was sustaining and the bonuses that were being paid to the executives. In 2009, the SEC charged the Bank of America a $33 million penalty because right before the deal closed, Merrill Lynch paid their executives $3.6 billion in bonuses without informing the voting investors. And in 2012, there was a $2.4 billion settlement paid to those investors. On top of all of that, this whole deal looked especially bad to the public because it was right when they were receiving money from the US government as part of their troubled asset relief program. So all around the same time period, they were receiving $45 billion from the government while spending billions of dollars on a risky investment and paying executives billions of dollars in bonuses. Ken Lewis, the CEO of Bank of America at the time, stepped down from his position just months later, almost certainly due to the backlash from all of this. I realize that this entire subject is complex and political, but we can understand how many people would have a negative perception of Bank of America following the recession. My next reason behind all of this hatred would be their connection to some infamous accounting scandals. Now, this could be said about other banks as well, but Bank of America was involved in two of the biggest all-time accounting scandals. In 2004, they paid a $69 million settlement to Enron shareholders who sued them for their role as an underwriter in their accounting fraud. The lawsuit claimed that they actively engaged and participated in the fraudulent scheme. Then in 2005, they paid a $460 million settlement to the WorldCom shareholders who had a very similar claim. Any involvement in the WorldCom and Enron scandals is not seen favorably by the public. For my last reason, I hate to say it, but discrimination. It's sad to see it for obvious reasons, but especially because the company was practically founded on providing services to minorities. Even as late as the 1960s, they were the first major employer in California to sign a statement of racial equality in hiring. Again, it's shocking how many lawsuits and penalties that they've been involved in here. Some of the more notable ones: in 2011, the Justice Department fined Bank of America $335 million because Countrywide had been discriminatory in their lending practices. They're found to be giving African American and Hispanic borrowers higher mortgage rates than the white people who came in with similar qualifications. In 2013, there was a $160 million settlement related to Merrill Lynch. That one had to do with their hiring practices and corporate culture involving African Americans over the years. And similarly, the following month, the Department of Labor forced Bank of America to pay over $2 million for unfairly not hiring African Americans into entry-level jobs. Again, those are just a few cases. You could find many other examples of potential discrimination over at Bank of America. So that's my list. They are a large bank with low customer service ratings that's been heavily involved in 2008's economic recession, that has been connected to some of the biggest accounting scandals, and has had multiple accusations of discrimination. It's not a complete list, but I think that should be enough to explain why Bank of America is so hated.
The 2008 financial crisis pushed the bank to the brink of collapse. It was a loss so catastrophic that it required a $45 billion bailout from the US Treasury.
Bank of America was one reason why much of the investing public and consumers and government lost faith and trust in banking. If the government did not intervene for Bank of America and the other banks, Bank of America would have failed.
Fast forward to today, Bank of America is thriving despite concerns over inflation and threats of a possible recession. The bank reported a net income of $31.9 billion in 2021, compared to just $4 billion in 2008.
As the rates have gone up, and if the recession is shallow, then we're going to see widening spreads and the ability of Bank of America to have a significant earnings from net interest income. This is unique to the banking industry, and Bank of America, being one of the largest banks, stands to benefit the most.
So how was Bank of America able to stage such an impressive comeback? And where is it headed next?
Okay, so I've come to the realization anyone getting hated on is because they're doing something right. Right? That goes for small business typically, though, or for just your regular day people. Anyone, if they're hating on you, you must be doing something right. Right? Well, Bank of America is the total opposite. If everyone hates Bank of America because they're just doing everything wrong at this point. Hell no. JP Morgan and Bank of America, we are coming for your ass. You have the audacity to call yourself the power and bamboozle people. Freaking predatory loaning, slave trade. I would not be surprised if we pull up some information of Bank of America being involved in child trafficking, in drug trafficking. Dude, you people are stealing people's money. You are overcharging people. You are throwing in fake monthly bills, monthly costs, and fees. You guys have a hell of nerve, and you must be exposed. Bank of America, we are coming for your ass. Your customer service has come to Sprint quality customer service. And you see, Sprint is no longer with us. Bank of America, your customer service sucks. Trump was onto something when he said, Bank of America, you need to get your shit together. And I'm not praising Trump, but jeez.
So I've come to realize that everyone hates Bank of America, or at least most people hate Bank of America. If you check online on a lot of review websites, for example, on Trustpilot or SiteJabber or any of these review websites, Bank of America has a really bad rep. For instance, if you go to a site like SiteJabber, we can see here that most of the reviews, in fact, out of 376 at the time of making this video, 256
Terrible.
are all one-star reviews, which is pretty bad. They have a less than 10% 5-star review rating. So this is really bad. And if we go down and we look at the individual reviews, it's just review after review after review of people who are just really upset and fed up with Bank of America. And even if we go onto a different review platform like, let's say, Trustpilot, it's pretty much the same thing here. You can see that there are over 1,300 reviews for Bank of America, and they're all bad. And again, if you scroll, it's just a bunch of one-star reviews. Most of them are one-star reviews, and it's really crazy. So the question is, why do people hate Bank of America so much? And before I go any further in this video, I kind of have an idea, and I can tell you guys, it's not just Bank of America that people hate. People hate pretty much all big banks, and the reason that people hate big banks so much is because it's as if they just take your money. They don't really give you anything in return because they don't pay you any interest. I mean, any interest that they do give you is so small that you don't even realize it when it shows up in your account. The interest is always going to be like 0.01% or something that never really shows up in your account. And then big banks always take your money and they loan this money out and they make a ton of money, which is why they're big, and they never give you anything in return. They just give you crappy service. They give you crappy customer care. If you lose your debit card, you're gonna have to wait a week or 2 weeks to get a new one. They charge you all these ridiculous fees. I mean, if you wanna take money from your account, they're gonna charge you a fee. If you wanna transfer money to a different bank, they're gonna charge you a fee. You wanna write a check, guess what? They're gonna charge you a fee. They're gonna charge you a fee for every single thing. Account maintenance fees, they're gonna charge you these.
All right, just today alone, I got a $35 overdraft fee. And there was no overdraft. There was no overdraft. $35 non-comply fee by Bank of America. Today is March 12th, 2025. I still have to call you up about that, and that is just a waste of fucking time and energy, dude. 35, you guys are fining people for nothing. You guys are thieving.
Annual credit card fees, and they will charge you a fee for every single thing that you can think about. And this is why people hate big banks in general. But people also hate Bank of America, and this is just one reason why they dislike them so much. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk a bit about why people hate like Bank of America, and then we're going to talk about other solutions that you can use and where you can put your money without getting taken advantage of by these big banks, where they're simply just taking your money, they're using your money to get rich, and then
I love it. Not only is he showing you the problem, but he's got some solutions. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Bank of America so much, and one of the first reasons why they hate Bank of America so much is because of their interest rates. So for example, if you go down to Bank of America and you open, let's say, a checking account and you have less than $2,500 in that checking account or even a savings account, then you'll be getting 0.01%. If you have over $2,500, well, guess what? You're in luck because you're still getting 0.01%. In fact, we can look at their preferred rewards tier with interest rate booster, whatever that is. And at the end, even the diamond honors, the most prestigious level, the most you can get is 0.04%. So
wow.
if you're the average working person and you go here for a bank account, the only thing that you can actually expect,
they don't give a fuck about you, dude.
0.01% realistically. Now, to put this into perspective, to show you guys just how bad this is, or just how ridiculous this is, if you save $10,000, right? Let's say your emergency fund is $10,000 and you put that into one of these savings accounts and you get 0.01%. This means that you're getting $1 single in interest per year. If you're able to become a preferred rewards member benefiting from the interest rate booster, as they say here, and you get to the diamond honors level and you get 0.04%, if you have $10,000 in the account, then that means you'll be getting a whopping $4 in interest per year. Now, if you compare this with Bank of America's loan products, for example, one of their credit cards, we can look at the credit card that doesn't come with an annual fee, probably the easiest one you can get. This credit card has an APR of 14.5 or 14.49% to 24.49%. So you can see the difference here. They're going to use your $10,000 and lend it to someone and expect that person to pay between 14 to 24% in interest, but you're only getting 0.01% in interest. So this is one reason why people hate Bank of America so much, and also other big banks as well. But this is one of the reasons why people hate Bank of America and these big banks so much. In fact, if you check like Wells Fargo or some other big bank, it's not going to be that much of a difference, right?
Not at all.
They're still going to give you crappy interest rates. They're still going to charge you a bunch of interest on their loan, charge you account minimum fees. They're going to charge online. Now, luckily, you can get the same type of service or actually better service from elsewhere. And this is why people America so much and they have so many terrible reviews online. Now, luckily, you can get the same type of service or actually better service from elsewhere. And this is why people will happily leave these horrible reviews, because they know that they can easily switch from BOA to some other bank and get much better service. Now, bigger banks used to have an advantage, right? They used to be able to say, hey, you know what, we offer FDIC insurance of $250,000 on your money. And then they also used to be able to say, hey, you know what, we're big banks. We have branches in every city. We have branches everywhere you could possibly think of. You can easily get to your money. And they also used to boast about having thousands and thousands of ATMs all over the country, and probably even all over the world, which sounded really good. But that really doesn't help anymore, because now you don't need to really go into the branch for anything. You can go online and open a bank account. If you want to deposit a check, you can simply use your phone. You can take a photo of it from your phone and deposit it with mobile banking. Also, ATMs, not really a big deal because people don't really use cash that much anymore. Everyone just swipes. So if you need cash, ATMs are still everywhere for you to use, but it's not that big of a deal anymore. Now, I will say that big banks are still good. Big banks are good for like loans or mortgages or even credit cards, because some of the best credit cards are actually from big banks. I think it's because they make a ton of money and they can actually create these loyalty programs or these credit card reward programs for their credit cards, where they actually give you a lot more for free with the hope of trapping you for all that interest, because they make so much money. So this is why you'll realize that, for example, if you go to like Chase or one of these big banks, you'll get really good credit cards. For example, I have a bunch of Chase credit cards and they give really good rewards. However, if you go to like your local bank, they may not be able to be up to par with like the rewards from credit cards. Also, these bigger banks, they'll give you like huge bonuses. So for example, in 1 year, I was able to get over $1,200 in bonuses from big banks. Now, usually smaller banks, they don't give you bonuses, and even if they do give you bonuses, it's probably going to be just a tiny amount of money. It's probably going to be like $25 or $50 or maybe just $10, when bigger banks like Bank of America will give you $100, $200, or even more for bonuses. So that's a pro. And also usually with big banks, it's much easier to get approved for loans, right? So if you're looking for like a mortgage or a car loan, the approval process is a bit quicker, I've noticed, with like bigger banks. And then if you look at credit unions, I think credit unions are actually really good. But one thing that credit unions fall behind on is their technology. I've never actually used a credit union that had an up-to-date website, an app that was working or that was comparable to like Chase or Bank of America's app. So I think credit unions are good, but they're just not up-to-date in terms of technology and making your life really easy without having you to go in branch or actually calling them on the phone. So big banks do have some advantages, but for the most part, where should you put this money so you can get the best value? And what I would suggest is that you go with the online banks. This is because usually they have good customer service. You never really have to go in branch for anything, so it's really convenient. You can do everything online from an app. The apps are really flawless in terms of using them because they're completely dependent on their apps. So the apps are always really good when compared to like traditional big banking apps. And also they give much higher interest rates. And the best part about online banks isn't even the interest. It's the fact that most of them will charge a little to no fees. So for example, I've been using SoFi for a while. They don't charge any fees. It's completely free to use. And currently Bank of America is giving you 0.01%, while SoFi is offering you much higher interest rates. So it's really convenient. You can do everything online from an app. The apps are really, this is because usually they have savings somewhere. Where should you put this money? So this is because usually they have good customer service. You never really have to go in branch for anything, so it's really convenient. You can do everything online from an app. The apps are really flawless in terms of using them because they're completely dependent on their apps. So the apps are always really good when compared to like traditional big banking apps. And also they give much higher interest rates. And the best part about online banks isn't even the interest. It's the fact that most of them will charge a little to no fees. So for example, I've been using SoFi for a while. They don't charge any fees. It's completely free to use. And currently Bank of America is giving you 0.01%, while SoFi is offering you 1.5%. So they're offering you way more than Bank of America or these big banks are. And also, there's no account maintenance fee, there's no monthly fee, the debit card is free, ATMs are free if you use the in-network ATMs. So there's really no reason not to switch to an online bank because you get all the convenience, you get more interest, and again, they don't charge you a bunch of ridiculous fees. Now, a second alternative is Chime. They also have no fees. The debit card is free. If you use an in-network ATM, which there are thousands of them all over, you don't pay any ATM fees. You get good service. The app works really great. They have a credit builder account there, a bunch of good features. I like it a lot, and you may even be able to go overseas and not be charged any international fees or international transaction fees, which is the other thing that big banks will charge. And usually these international transaction fees are like 2% and upwards. Now, earlier on in the video, I mentioned bonuses and saying that big banks also give you bonuses, and they probably give you like bigger bonuses than online banks. But in this case, for example, I think SoFi is giving a $25 bonus now. If you sign up for their account, you can get $25 for free. Chime is also giving away $100 for free. So if you want to switch over...
Okay, sir. Thank you for that video. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the solutions. So Chime and SoFi online banking would probably be better. You get more interest for the money you put in their bank. Bank of America 0.4, even for your diamond trusted members in Bank of America, 0.04 interest rate. That is nothing. Bank of America, you are snakes. Not just because of you're not giving any return to the people putting their hard-earned money in your bank, but just your history is dark. It is evil, satanic. It's so greedy. So greedy. This video sucks. This video, I'm gonna have to leave some descriptions in the description box. I just read a bunch of shit. You guys had no idea what I just said. This is Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan. Okay, check it out. I'll let y'all read it for yourself. He's one of the worst investors in history, and you're probably saying, for what? Because he loses. He is a loser. He loses your money. And he makes millions, if not billions, off of your money, and you make zero interest. You make nothing for the money that you put in his bank. But foreign interests get a good stack of change. Check this out. That's one of the largest. Since his bank bought $500 billion in mortgage bonds at the all-time high price for these assets in history in 2020, the value of those securities has fallen by more than $100 billion. That's one of the largest single investment losses in history. That is the worst investment in history. Yeah. Meanwhile, Moynihan isn't worried. He knows he can recoup these losses by using the $1 trillion the bank holds in U.S. consumer deposits. How? By paying zero interest to American consumers while paying billions to foreign creditors to get the liquidity he needs. Yeah, y'all. Terrible. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Brian Moynihan, America's worst investor, y'all.
Now they're reporting that they woke up to money missing from their accounts. Well, B of A just posted this message to their app saying that it's because Zelle transactions made between January 14th and January 17th may be delayed or not posted altogether. They add that they're working on fixing this problem and that transactions will be posted as soon as possible and appear in your account activity and balance. They apologize for the inconvenience, but all you have to do is search Bank of America on your social media feed and see that that is not enough for those people that are reporting, in some cases, negative bank accounts this morning. So many Bank of America customers.
You have to know this. You have to care about this. Unrealized gain losses of investment securities. This is from 2024. Okay. The bank said that its unrealized losses on a $587 billion portfolio of bonds that are classified as held to maturity for accounting purposes widened by $11 billion to $109 billion on March 31st, 2023, from $98 billion at the year end of 2023. Listen, on the left is 2008, right here. On the left 2008. You see that graph of the losses from 2008, America's biggest crash when the banks got rescued by our government. Why? I have no fucking idea. Okay? You're money laundering through these banks. There's something fucking horribly demonic. And look, compared to 2024, look at this graph here, guys. This is so wild. 2024. Look at the losses here. Held to maturity, securities accounted for Bank of America's losses. On the left of the graph is the 2008 crisis. On the right is today. Bank of America holding on to tremendous losses. Why? Why do you think they're holding so tight? To avoid panic? I mean, the writing is definitely on the wall. Bank of America, come out of the closet. You are about to get exposed. Bank of America is the big lender worst affected by the crash in bond prices, having disclosed a potential $130 billion hole in its balance sheet last month. The other four big banks, Citigroup, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo, have also racked up unrealized losses in the tens of billions, according to their second and third quarter earnings report. Bank of America has a $130 billion unrealized loss of their balance sheet and only has $29 billion in income in the last 12 months.
And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
Mr. President, I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
And by the way,
awkward. All right. Clearly, he deflected what Trump was trying to say. Now, I do not care about conservatives or liberals. It is not the point. The point is Bank of America needs to get their shit together. They are not the power. They are not too big to fail like they would like to think. And Bank of America and the Treasury Department needs to be called out for this shit, because it is not about conservatives or liberals or who they are scamming the poor. They are targeting the middle class. It's not about conservatives. Everyone is suffering with Bank of America. They have numerous of fraud cases, numerous of lawsuits against them, and their fees just keep racking up. What the hell are these maintenance fees and other fees that seem to be going up in price? Every single year I am paying more in fees with Bank of America than any other subscription, any other bank. It's wild. Bank of America, get your shit together. We are calling you out. Trump swings at Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan and JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon and at Davos. What you're doing is wrong. It is beyond wrong. It is beyond fraud. It is beyond sin. It's nuts. Okay, time for some real life stories from real life people. Peep it.
Bank of America had to pay Maureen Nairges and her husband's legal fees after the bank tried to foreclose on their Golden Gate Estates property, but they paid cash. The courts agreed they never had a mortgage to begin with.
I tell ya, you can't make this kind of stuff up. Bank of America tried to foreclose on a couple. Home, problem is they paid cash. This lovely couple is Warren and Maureen Nairges. The couple paid cash for this gorgeous property. But the bank told them they had a mortgage, and they were behind on it. See, people fail to realize is that these corporations, some of them ain't nothing but thieves in suits and ties. Which is the reason you need lawyers like this. When the couple sued the bank and they didn't pay, this is what the couple did.
After more than 5 months, the bank still hadn't paid up. So the homeowner's attorney did just what the bank would do to get their money: seize their assets. Outside the bank, several deputies stood by with movers ready to start hauling out the bank's office supplies and furniture. Mayor County Judge said Bank of America had to pay Maureen Nair just...
So wait, instead of apologizing, this is how Bank of America does. I guarantee this makes sense. Instead of apologizing or saying I made a mistake, they doubled down and kept trying to fight this couple who paid for their home with cash. So the bank must have a list. Bank of America has a fucking list, and they think they own everything. They even thought they owned this poor couple's fucking home because they didn't see that they were getting payments from this couple who had paid cash for their house. Not a poor couple, by the way. Thank God they messed with the wrong couple. This couple had money, they paid for a lawyer, and they got their shit. But imagine how many people that cannot defend themselves have to go up against the giant like Bank of America. This is why I'm making this video. Fuck you, Bank of America. All you evil bastards on top of this evil corporation, you are not the power. You are not too big to fail. You will fail. You've already failed. And you are getting exposed. Let's do this. Bank of America, eat a banana. Eat some cat food, Bank of America. Poor girl. She got 15,500 of her hard-earned dollars taken out of her account, and Bank of America does nothing except start an investigation, which, mind you, Bank of America is currently being sued for lying to people and stating that they are conducting investigations on their claims when they're really not investigating anything. I am one of those people that they have wasted my hours, time, and energy telling me that they are investigating something they should be investigating. And it turns out whenever you call them, say, hey, who is investigating this? How are they investigating this? They always say, I don't know, or I don't have access to that information. Check.
Telling me right now.
Access to those funds.
Listen to me. Is there a way that I can close this account completely? Delete, cancel the routing, and have my funds returned? Like, literally shut the account completely down, or at least transfer. Make sure that those funds are transferred to a different account, because I don't trust Bank of America. Have it completely shut down. And this is not a joke. I will go to a location in person if you're not listening to me.
You don't trust the power?
Going to do what I'm telling you to do. Because I called this morning to check my bank statements because I access my online banking, and I was told that $295 have been somehow transferred out of my account. That is somehow, though it's frozen, has been transferred out of my account. Now, I'm asking you that when my $15,500 get back into the account, is they going to be safe? You're telling me, oh, no, someone could still attempt to transfer. Like, do you... I don't care. It's still going to be taken out of my account, wasting my time. You literally just admitted that someone has access to my routing and account number information. What am I gonna do? What literally, like, what am I going to do at this very moment right now? There's no solution. Are you aware that you're not offering a solution for me right now in this conversation? Are you aware of that?
I've offered you multiple solutions.
The solutions you've offered is wait for Friday and wait for March 5th. Would you agree?
That is correct.
Exactly. So that's not a solution. That's wasting my time. And time is money. And time is more vulnerability.
Because there's not an answer that you don't like doesn't mean it's
It's not a matter of an answer that I don't like. It's an answer that's not going to work. What are the solutions that you're saying that Bank of America is offering me to be able to ensure that I get my money back?
The funds are being returned that are currently leaving your account negative $17,107. Once those funds are returned, you can either transfer them to an external account or transfer them to your checking account that is currently active and open. Once the funds are transferred out, you can officially have this account closed to prevent this from going further.
When am I gonna have? When can you assure me that I'll have my at least $15,500 back into my account?
So even if the $15,500 is going to be returned to the account by the end of the business day tomorrow, because that's still going to leave you negative $2,000. So you would have to wait for the full amount to be returned, which would most likely be about 3 days.
When are the fraudulent transactions going to for sure be reversed back into my account?
The 3 claims that you have on file, the decision will be made or a temporary credit will be provided no later than the 10th business day, which is the 5th of March.
Okay, and 15,380 something cents. How? This is the part. So I will have more than $15,000 by February. By Friday. You said it should be back into the account Friday.
So there is a chance that it is back in the account by Friday.
What do you mean chance? I don't work on chances. I need assurance.
The $15,500 that posted yesterday will be returned by the end of the business day tomorrow. But the other 4 transactions are still processing. They don't start the return process until they post. They can post in the next 20 minutes, or they may not post until tomorrow, and you'd have to wait until they return to business days after, which will be next week. It's a chance because we do not have any guarantee on when the transactions post.
Here's my question. How, I woke up this morning and an additional $295 was taken out of an account that's already frozen. When these funds come back into my account, how can I be assured that literally, every transaction that has been leaving occurred during midnight? You are not giving me assurance that I will go to a bank and request for my money and that an account transfer would not have been initiated, right? This is basically what's happening right now. Someone can still transfer money from my account at that moment on Friday when I have more than $15,000 in my account.
Correct.
They don't give a fuck about you or your money. Get your money out of Bank of America. Bottom line. Shut these motherfuckers down. She just literally asked and said they took $300 out of a frozen account that she had already called Bank of America to complain that 15,000 of her dollars were taken out of an account. They froze the account. She calls back the next day, checks her online bank, and she realizes that that frozen account has still been breached. It's been compromised. They took $295 out of that frozen account. So Bank of America is compromised. And she asks this gentleman, which this gentleman on the other line is probably just doing his job for these fucking snakes. And he can't do anything about it except just read his script that Bank of America has fraudulently made up for him. Bank of America, you're going down.
What does that mean for me? What is that going to do for me?
So if a situation like that occurs, you simply have to wait for those to be returned, and depending on how large the debt it is, only withdraw the amount of what's in the account. So
Get ready for jargon.
Let's say Friday rolls around, you have the full $15,300.
Get ready for a bunch of jargon. Hold on. I'd fast forward it.
To the department.
I would fast forward it, but it's important for you to hear all the jargon so you can be aware. If this ever happens to you, it's happening to millions of people. If this ever happens to you, you know what to expect. This is proof. This is insurance. This is facts. This is happening every day. Bank of America, you're about to lose your power.
That froze it, request them to unfreeze the account for that specific transaction. And when you go and make that before or while on the phone waiting
Poor
to
girl.
have the account unfrozen, a transaction comes in. It's going to be returned, but it drops your account $1,000.
That's painful. The waste of time that's a crime in itself.
You draw $14,000 because that's what's in the account. And then you wait for the $1,000 to be returned. Once the $1,000 is returned, you repeat the process. There's always a chance that another amount comes out. There's a chance that it's $200. There's a chance that it's the full 15. We can't predict what's going to end up happening. But you do the best you can with what's available at that situation.
I don't mean to.
If Friday rolls around and you have.
I don't mean to yell at you or share that I was speaking to earlier, but we're not going to act like our brains can't work and not think. If someone has access to my routing and my account number, clearly they can see how much money is in that account. Do you think they're going to just transfer $1,000 or $200?
There is no way of them finding out how much money is in the account. The way for them to see that is if they had access to your online banking ID and password.
Well,
the only way that they can see it.
Okay, well, since you're new here, let me tell you what's been happening. I called on Sunday when someone was flagrantly making huge purchases on my account, which, by the way, I was not receiving any text messages about. And it wasn't until the 10th transaction that I was getting a text saying that $2,000 and some change is being made, a purchase is being made. Is this you? And so I said no. And it was at that moment that I realized someone was utilizing my information, and I called and they canceled the card, and they issued me a new card and a new mobile card. I never even opened an email. I never even opened a mobile card information, nothing, because I didn't intend to use it. I didn't plan to use it. Guess what? Somehow, somewhere, someone logged into my mobile banking and initiated and activated that card and then started using it again the next day. So you're telling me there's no way someone is going to have my, this is not, in case you didn't have this information, they already have been using it. They've already been doing it. And I'm just flabbergasted, and I cannot possibly be the only one this has happened to.
You're not.
And I never keep money in this account, and like I've said to you, I deposited this check at one of your banks. These are the only people that would have access to my personal information, and you guys need to investigate them. But what I'm telling you, I'm asking you, my account, my money is going to be back into my account. Is it going to be safe? No. Can they make a transaction? Yes. Well, they won't know what money is in your account because they don't have your mobile banking. I'm telling you right now, they do have somehow access to my mobile banking. What do you say to that?
We can close down your mobile banking so they can't gain access to it and see what your balance is.
Oh my goodness. And also, here's the other thing. Wow. The other thing is, honestly, I can't even imagine if this was like $100,000 in my account and you're telling me.
You get the point. You get the point. Bank of America has lost its power. And we, the people, we will get reparations back from you, Bank of America. You owe us for our time, number one. Here's the warning. Here's a warning shot. If the shit goes down, if the lights go out, the Great Recession, there were people who were lined up at the banks trying to get their money back. Never got it back. Bank of America, I will guarantee if the lights go out, if any war breaks out, if anything happens, God forbid, God's got us, not to worry you, but I am just telling you, just from their attitude, from their mannerisms, from the way they handle their calls, from their customer service, your money is gone. If you are banking with Bank of America, they do not give a shit. All you get is an apology and a dum-dum.
Bank of America's very frightening online glitch that panicked thousands of customers yesterday. This morning, the bank says the problems have all been fixed. There were more than 20,000 individual reports of customers having trouble with their accounts. Many of them say that the bank's website showed they had a zero balance. Yikes. Imagine that for just a second. The online issues began around noon Eastern time and spiked about 1 hour later. Bank of America has since apologized to the customers for any inconvenience. It is still unclear what caused the outages. Bank of America's
message. That was a warning. That was God's warning to you to see who you're banking with. Snakes, y'all. Snakes. Bank of America. Man. Hey, sorry this took so long. I'm going to leave it at that. This is probably the longest video I made, and I could make another part 2 or part 3 on Bank of America and all the horror stories involved with Bank of America. Sorry for the glitches in this video and stuff. It took me a while, but I wanted to expose. I wanted to do my part in educating people as to who Bank of America is, who they were, who they've become, and where they're headed. You are not the power. You have just lost your power. Bank of America. Damned is the man who puts his trust in a man. Jeremiah 17:5. Thank you, my ace boom coons. Like and subscribe.